Hello everyone, it's Evelyn. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. I'm so excited that you're here, and I am unbelievably excited for today's video. Today we're going to go on a deep dive to discover all of the Skintones in the 18-inch American Girl doll lines. This video is going to be the first of many to come in my new series of comprehensive guides on American Girl dolls. I've mentioned this before, but I am also working on a PDF visual guide to American Girl doll features. So this series on my channel is going to serve to expand upon that and also to supplement it. It's been a passion project of mine. I put a lot of work into putting it together, but I'm also having a lot of fun. I've made this in more of a visual format, which makes sense to me, and I hope that you're going to love it. First, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Skintones available from American Girl, and then we'll go into more depth on each one. Generally speaking, American Girl doll Skintones are referred to and placed into three categories: light, medium, and dark. There are some standard Skintones used across all doll lines, and also several unique tones in addition to that. I've put this graphic together to show an overview of the Skintones in the light, medium, and dark categories used on every single American Girl doll released prior to making this video in January 2024. The most common Skintone used by American Girl is the light Skintone, and it's been used on 65.5% of American Girl dolls. The medium Skintone is the second most common, used on 18.7% of them, followed closely by the dark tone, used on 15.8% of American Girl dolls. If we take a look at the figures broken down by doll line, you can see that most of them follow this pattern, with a few exceptions. Interestingly, the historical line has a higher percentage of dark-skinned dolls than medium, and the Girl of the Year line has the smallest percentage of dark-skinned dolls overall. I am so curious to see if this changes with the new doll releases this year. Sounds like we're getting at least 4 new Truly Me dolls, maybe February 1st, but that's all rumor right now. I'm just cannot wait to see what they release. As I mentioned, American Girl uses standard Skintones across all doll lines. Around 2018, the company increased the number of available standard Skintones from 3 to 6. This included a new, deeper skin tone, a warmer medium tone, and a paler light tone. American Girl describes these new tones with a number and description. 5 is the lightest tone and is described as light skin with warm olive undertones. This is known as the Blair skin tone. 10 is the most similar to the old standard light tone, and it's described as light to medium skin with warm undertones. 20 is the most similar to the old standard medium, and it's described as tan skin with neutral undertones. 25 is the newest medium tone, first seen on dolls like Truly Me 79 and 82. It's described as tan skin with warm neutral undertones. 30 is the most similar to the old standard dark tone, and it's described as deep skin with neutral undertones. 35 is the newest dark tone, first used on dolls like Truly Me 80. It's described as very deep with neutral undertones. In addition to the standard tones, there are some unique tones used by one or a few dolls. Tone 3 is used only on Kira Bailey, and it's described as light skin with warm neutral undertones. Tone 23 is Kaya's unique skin tone, and it's used only for her. It's tan skin with warm olive undertones. The most recent unique skin tone belongs to the Jasmine Collector doll, which made its debut in the 18-inch doll line with her release in 2023. However, it has been used on Ashlyn and Bryant in the Welly Wisher line, so it's not entirely new. It's tone 26, described as very tan skin with neutral undertones. The darkest unique tone belongs to Addy. This is tone 33, deep skin with warm undertones. I will note that this actually recently became a little bit warmer with the release of Be Forever Addy, and Be Forever Addy and Historical Addy do have different skin tones. I'm going to link to a video in the description that shows those differences because I don't have both dolls. Other than Addy, there are 2 other dolls that have this skin tone. That's going to be Truly Me number 1, or American Girl of Today number 1, and number 18. This was confirmed by Chris at agforever96, who also has a YouTube channel. He owns both of those dolls. I will link in the description his All My Dolls video that shows them both. And thank you so much, Chris, for confirming that, so I didn't have to spend lots of money getting those dolls myself. The Create Your Own Doll line debuted in late 2017, and it has all 6 of the standard skin tones available. It's actually the only way to get certain skin tone and face mold combinations, which I've done with my CYO named Ren. You'll see her later in the video if you have not already. I've added the number values to the screenshot here, as I know a lot of you have asked which skin tone is which in the CYO generator. Before we take a look at the skin tones more in depth, I wanted to show you how to figure out which doll has which skin tone directly from the American Girl website. So you're going to click on Dolls from the menu and expand the filter selection. Filter down to the doll lines you want to take a look at, and then expand the skin color section. There you're going to find all of the tones available in that category, and you can click the checkbox to show only the dolls with that tone. Something to note is that this is generally correct, but I have found an exception, and that's Corinne. She's listed as tone 5 on the website for some reason, but as you can see here, she is not tone 5. My 118 Winter is. Instead, Corinne is the 10 tone. So you would think that the American Girl website would be correct, but it seems like there might be a couple of exceptions. Now I'm going to go ahead and start the visual guide on the skin tones, where I show you them on the dolls in my personal collection and compare them to other skin tones so you can see the differences between them. We're going to start with the standard skin tones, and first we're going to take a look at the retired ones. Aside from the unique tones for Addy and Kaya, prior to 2018, dolls came with one of 3 skin tones: light, medium, or dark. Over the years, subtle variations of these tones were produced, likely due to different factories or vinyl mixes. Also, older dolls might experience some fading of the original vinyl or other defects, like getting more orange in the case of Nellie and Kaylee, or gray over time. Here's my Caroline, Kanani, and Truly Me 58 to show the retired standard tones side by side. And here is the light skin tone on a few of my light-skinned dolls, McKenna, Caroline, and Nikki. Of these 3, Caroline is definitely more of like a pink undertone, especially in person, and the other 2 are a bit more yellowed. This could probably be due to age because Caroline is the newest of the 3, but still Caroline and McKenna are pretty close in age, so it's definitely very interesting to me that they could be so different. The medium skin tone in particular seems to have quite a bit of variance. So this is my Truly Me 29, who's probably the mid to late 2000s, Truly Me 26 that I believe I got around 2015, Kanani, who's from 2011, and then Leah from 2016. My Kanani has an almost green undertone to her skin, especially compared to the others, while Leah's is like more of a reddish pink tone. These are all listed as medium skin, but as you can see, it's definitely changed over the years. This is why many of you might have sent your Kanani into the doll hospital for a head replacement, only to have her sent back with her limbs replaced too because of a mismatch. The dark skin tone has also definitely varied quite a bit over the years. My Sonali doll is an original from 2009, and compared to number 58, who I got maybe in 2015 or so, she actually appears lighter and more cool toned. 58, on the other hand, is like the most warm, dark tone of all of my dolls, and Gabriella from 2017 has a bit of a red undertone. The current standard skin tones allow so much more diversity and variety for the dolls than the original 3. Although the retired light, medium, and dark tones have close matches in the new standard tones, none of them are exactly the same as the updated tone. So for me, I consider them to be different tones entirely, but most resources, including the American Girl website, don't differentiate them. Here, I have the Josefina mold in each of the current standard skin tones. The Josefina mold has the most variety of skin tones available, with only 1 not available in the standard lines, tone 30 as seen on my CYO Ren. In this image is Blair, a custom number 90, number 89, number 108, my CYO Ren, and a custom 109. Next, I'm going to compare the standard skin tones with the unique skin tones I have available in my collection. I am missing tone 26 because I don't have Jasmine, but a lovely AGIG friend of mine at Side Stitch Dolls has provided me with photos from her collection, which you'll see later. Here we have some dolls with the light, medium, and dark retired skin tones with Kaya and Addy, who are both pre-Be Forever, so this would have represented the full range of skin tones available from American Girl at some point in time. Both my Addy and my Kaya are pre-Be Forever, so I have included some video links in my description below of others comparing their Be Forever versions with their historical versions if you're interested in seeing that. Kaya's skin tone, which is number 23, almost falls perfectly in between the medium and the dark tones, and Addy's tone 33 is quite a bit darker than the standard dark tone. It's also much more cool toned than the rest of the skin tones in the lineup. Now I have Kaya and Addy's unique skin tones shown in the current lineup of skin tones. So we've got 5, 10, 20, 25, and then Kaya's tone 23 is actually darker than tone 25. Tone 30, which would probably be the closest to Kaya, tone 33 and 35. Tone 35 is probably the closest to tone 33, Addy's tone. It is definitely darker and a little bit more red toned though. Next, I wanted to show you Kaya and Addy with all of the other dark tones. So this would be the current tone 30, the retired dark skin tone, and tone 35. As you can see, just looking at tone 30 and my number 58's dark skin, the undertone difference is so striking. I mean, it's almost an entirely different skin tone in my opinion. That's why I thought it would be kind of fun to put all 5 of these up together so you could see the differences in all of them. Next up is Kira's unique tone, which is tone 3. Now, honestly, this one does not seem at all like a unique tone to me. She looks pretty much the same as any of my other tone 10 dolls, maybe a smidge warmer, as you can see with her compared to Truly Me 90 over here. So here she is with both Blair and Truly Me 90. It's very subtle, not very obvious at all, and definitely not worth creating a new skin tone label for, in my opinion. Lastly is the most recent new unique skin tone, and that is tone 26, which belongs to the Jasmine collector doll. Now, I do not have this doll, so I reached out on my Instagram story saying, hey, does anybody have this doll? I'm trying to confirm if it's a unique skin tone, and Side Stitch Dolls reached out to me and she delivered. She took these pictures and sent them my way. I cannot thank you enough, Side Stitch Dolls. I appreciate it so much, and I really love how she's lined up all of the skin tones here with Jasmine kind of in the middle. You can see her next to Maritza that it's definitely darker than the medium tones. From left to right, we have the lightest tone 5, then tone 10, we've got the old medium, the new medium, we have Jasmine, old medium again, tone 30 with number 123 there, and then McKenna is tone 35. So she is definitely a unique tone and one that I would love to see them use again. Now let's compare the old standard skin tones with the new standard skin tones. First up are the light skin tones. So in the middle, I have Caroline, and I'm comparing her with my custom Truly Me 118, who is tone 5, and my custom Truly Me 119, who is tone 10. The old light skin tone definitely most closely matches tone 10, but as you can see here, they are definitely very different. Caroline is definitely the most rosy toned out of all of my light skinned dolls, and she looks almost yellow compared to these two. It's definitely very interesting to see them all together. Here's the new medium skin tones with the old medium, and these again are super different. I feel like skin tone 20 and the medium are supposed to be the same, but tone 20 is definitely much more cool to neutral tone than any of my older medium skin tone dolls. Kanani looks almost a little green compared to Maritza, who looks a little bit orange compared to Kanani. Of course, separately, they all look to be just regular old medium tone, but when you put them together, you realize there really is quite a difference in between all 3 of them. Next up are the dark tones, and again, so incredibly different from one another. The newer tones are much cooler in my opinion, and I did pick out my warmest of my dark skin dolls, but still, It's so different. I can't even consider 30 and the old dark tone to be the same. I think that they're really completely different skin tones. And if I were to get a CYO Addy mold with the 30 tone, she would look so much different than my number 58. Before I conclude the video, I did want to go ahead and answer a lot of your questions that you gave me on Instagram. I let you guys know that I was making this video and asked if you had any specific questions about American Girl skin tones, and you guys had a lot of good ones that cover topics that I didn't even think to include in this video beforehand. So let's go ahead and get into the questions and answers portion of this video. The first questions come from Fairy Tale Dolls and Cece's Dollhouse. Fairy Tale Dolls says, what skin tone is Julie? I thought she was light. My mom said she looked darker. So Julie is definitely light skin tone. Here she is with McKenna and Caroline. My personal Julie is from back in, I think, 2007 to 2009 era. Shortly after she came out, and she's definitely yellowed quite a bit, but she's still the light tone. Your Julie might vary based on if she's Be Forever or historical Julie, so light tone for Julie. And then that kind of ties into Cece's question, why do some dolls look more gray than others? I addressed it a little bit earlier in the video, but basically it just kind of comes down to age. There are a lot of defects that can happen with vinyl as it ages. We see that in Nellie and Kaylee, for example, as they turn orange over time. They had a very specific defect. Luckily, American Girl has fixed that, but a lot of older dolls might tend to gray. I know that Julie, for example, she seems to kind of have lost a bit more of her reddish undertones as she's aged, and I think that just comes down to the doll getting older. You know, maybe she's exposed to sunlight by your window or something like that. Sunlight tends to fade things, so the gray tones just probably has to do with the vinyl at the time of production, the age of the doll, and kind of what it's been exposed to over the years. Sam Kalia asks, which tone on the CYO generator matches Kaya's skin tone and also Covey's? So unfortunately, Kaya's skin tone is not available on the CYO generator. She has her own unique skin tone called 23, but Covey's that's going to be tone 20 on the CYO generator. I have included a little snippet on this just to show you where that is on the generator as well. agdoll.collector asks, can we have a color analysis video for what colors of clothes fit which skin tone of dolls? I think that would be so much fun. I've been seeing a lot of things on color analysis lately, and that might be a fun video idea. Thank you for the idea. 5stars3sisters.ag asks, I recently heard of blue toned versus deep toned. I'd love clarification. So this one I'm not 100% sure about. So of course, if you guys know, let me know in the comments below. But when I think of kind of blue toned and deep toned, I'm thinking of 30 skin tone and Addy. Addy, I've always felt has kind of more of a cool tone than a lot of other dolls. So it might have something to do with that. Maybe the old Truly Me 1 and Truly Me 18 might be more of that like deeper or blue tone, but definitely a good question for the audience. If anybody has any idea on that, definitely let us know. Cece's Dollhouse asks, when did they switch 26's skin tone? I sent my 26 in and they had to replace her limbs and everything. So I'm not 100% sure on this, but based on my research, it seems like it would be around 2017. In the 2016 to 2018, it seems like they were making a ton of changes. And not only that, but 26 is one of the older dolls. Her vinyl over the years has probably changed quite a bit. So to make that right, and so I'm not sending in my Kanani for a head replacement, and her skin tone comes looking like Leah's with her original kind of more green body, that would be kind of an alarming difference. And so that's why they're replacing limbs in those cases, it seems. Wishing Stardust asks, I never thought about it until now. How much does body fabric vary? And Madeline.dolls asks, I'm intrigued by the fabric color too, and if there is any rhyme or reason for the changes. So this is definitely an interesting one. I don't know if there is any rhyme or reason to the changes. So here I have my early 2000s Truly Me. I think that she's 16. Got Nikki, who's from 2007. Caroline from 2014, and Courtney from 2023. Now, interestingly, my number 16, hers is so much darker than everybody else's, and I almost kind of wonder if it had to do with age, but the most interesting difference to me is definitely Nikki's body. Both her and Marisol in my collection both have this taller body with a more pronounced chest than the rest of my dolls. I don't really know why this is. I also had an Elizabeth doll at one point that had the same exact thing, but it makes them a bit taller than the rest of the dolls in my collection, which is definitely very interesting. So about the time that they were introducing perma panties and the bad eyes and all of the other things that they were doing to cheapen the dolls, they also introduced a cheaper body fabric. I hadn't really put much thought into this because most of my dolls don't have it, but I noticed that Blair does. So let's go ahead and take a look a little bit closer. It's a little bit hard to tell in photographs, but in person, it's very evident that the fabric on Blair is much thinner than the fabric on my other dolls. So she's compared here with my Truly Me 118. And I feel like it's almost most obvious on their backside. So there is some footage of that as well. I also thought this picture of my Tone 30 dolls together was interesting because their body fabric is all pretty different colors. So we've got my CYO, she's got more of a lighter body fabric. My 123, who's actually a Costco version, her body is actually like bulkier than the other ones. It's almost like a little more stout and feels more plump. And her body fabric is the darkest. My Truly Me 112, hers is dark. I feel like it matches her skin tone really well. And then 77 is closer to my CYOs, but then also still different. I don't really know if there's a rhyme or reason to it, to be honest. I think it just depends on when the doll was made and the factory that they were made in and what was available at the time. The next question is from Sarah_AG_Meadow_love. She says Maritza's color, it's kind of orange, and yeah, it kind of is. So hers is Tone 25, and she shares that skin tone with Truly Me 79, Truly Me 82, 92, 108, 117, and also the new FAO Schwartz collector doll. I don't know if I said that right, but those are the dolls with that tone. It's definitely the least common of the medium tones, and it is very warm, especially in comparison to the other skin tones. We have a couple of questions about the undertones. agdoll.collector says warm tones versus cold tones. Dolldream.believer says, how big of a part do the undertones play? Like Claudie has more blue undertones. How does that compare with other dolls with warmer undertones? And then Melody asks, how do you decide what colors work best with what skin tone? So here I've divided out the skin tones based on whether American Girl calls their undertones neutral or warm. So Skin tone 20, 30, and 35 are all described as having neutral undertones. So I would say that these are more on the neutral to cool side. And then tone 5, 10, and 25 all say that they're warm undertones, which I would say they are definitely more on the warm side. I feel like 5 is a little bit of a cooler tone than 10 and 25, with 25 being the absolute warmest. So I think that undertones do play a big part. Claudie, I wouldn't say that she has more blue undertones in my opinion. I feel like her skin tone number 35 is a little bit more red. I feel like she looks really good in red and other warm stuff. So I feel like out of all of them, tone 35 is more on like the warmer neutral side compared to tone 30. As far as deciding what colors work best with what skin tone, honestly, just try a bunch of stuff on and see what works. You might notice that some clothing washes the doll out and some clothing really makes their features pop. So just try things on and kind of see what looks good and go from there. AG_love06 says, I feel like Truly Me 49 skin tone is a bit more orange. And I don't have that doll. I've always wanted her, but I don't have her. But I do feel like there's some truth to this. I think that first of all, her blue eyes with the medium skin tone, orange is opposite from blue on the color wheel. So that right there is going to make any orange tones in the skin pop because that is a high contrast color combo. Those are complementary colors. You've also got just the variance in medium tones over the years. Just take a look at these 4 dolls. They're all very different, but all technically the medium tone. AG underscore volleyball underscore lover asks, how does Addy's skin tone compare to the others? So here is Addy with a bunch of other dolls with different skin tones, and you can see hers is definitely very deep, almost a little bit more cool toned than the current 30, but I'm not exactly sure how Be Forever Addy falls in here. I have heard she's a little bit warmer toned. Well, Angel P asks, do the older historicals fall in the new skin tones, or are they separate and distinct? I've already answered this. They look a lot different, but they're technically grouped in with tones 10, 25, and 30. Kayla Loves the Lord asks, how many skin tones are there? So there are 10 skin tones, but I consider there to be 13 if you're including light, medium, and dark as separate skin tones, which, as we've seen, they definitely kind of are. The American Girl crew says, I would love that. I definitely want to see the darkest skin tone, truly me 80. So here it is on the very far right of this photo compared to all of the other standard skin tones we have. It's definitely a very deep skin tone. I feel like it's got almost a little bit of a red undertone to it. The last questions are kind of similar, so I put them on the same slide. The first one is from American's Girl. Well, I guess my biggest question is what the difference is between the two tan tones, and definitely between the two current tan tones. Tone 25 is much warmer. It's got almost orangey undertones, and then tone 20, which is Covey here, is more of a cool neutral tone underneath. They both are different from the old medium. And AG underscore Fresh Start Dolls asks variances in medium tones. I've already answered that one earlier in the video, and you can kind of see them in here, but I also just wanted to acknowledge her and say thank you for the question. That's it for the questions. Thank you for those who participated and asked questions. I hope I was able to answer those questions for you well enough anyway. Speaking of appreciation, I appreciate you guys watching this, getting through it. I hope you loved it. I did also want to say thank you by giving you a free printable. The link will be in the description. The password is going to be YouTube, all lowercase. And this is something I originally kind of made for me to supplement the visual guide that I was making. I like to have as many different face mold and skin tone combinations as possible. So this is a little checklist that kind of can help you figure out who you have with what skin tone and what you might be missing or what you might want. I've kind of colored in the combinations that aren't possible, so it's easy to see that the Corinne mold only exists in tone 10, Nanea mold only exists in the 3 lightest tones, and so on and so forth. All that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed putting it together. I was going to wait a little bit because, as you may have noticed, I'm still sick and my voice is still scratchy, of course, but I just really wanted to get this out. Like I said, it's a passion project of mine, and let me know what feature you would like me to cover in my next video. We'll chat soon, but until then, take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.